Hello, my name is Felipe Zúñiga, and this is my psychology final assignment. In this assignment, I will be addressing 3 psychological prompts, and I will be starting with the following. One of the fundamental questions in psychology is the relationship between mind and brain. This question has direct implications for the idea of free will. What is the evidence there is to support the monist account? And what is the general relationship between monism and free will? In your opinion, is it possible to believe the monist perspective while also believing in the existence of objective free will? Why or why not? Support your argument with evidence, reason, and examples. So to start off with this question, I will first dive into the concepts of dualism and monism. The dualistic line of thought started in the 1600s with the philosopher René Descartes. This idea or term refers to the mind and body being two different entities or substances which can interact with each other. This statement then separates the two, with the body being in the materialism spectrum and the mind being in the spiritual world. This is because the body takes up space and it is tangible, while the mind, its emotions, thoughts, and feelings are intangible and thus take no physical space. Monism, on the other hand, refers to the mind and body as a same entity or substance. This implies that there is one source that unites the existence of all things. Some of the most relevant monist philosophers are Baruch Spinoza and Christian von Wolff. When it comes to free will, both of these ideals have different beliefs. The dualism train of thought suggests that there is free will since the mind can develop thoughts and then interact with the body to create actions. On the other hand, the monists believe that since the mind and the body are the same, every human is shaped by previous experiences, and every individual is just reacting to stimuli or acting based on previous experiences. When it comes to my personal opinion, I believe that there cannot be free will in a monist standpoint. As it was stated by philosopher Dr. Sean M. Carroll, in a monist standpoint, you would not have been able to take a different decision from the one you already decided to take and you already took. In other words, man may do what he wills, but he may not will what he wills. I believe that although individuals take decisions, they are ultimately being shaped by their previous experiences. Thus, the decisions that someone has taken would have definitely been different if his or her previous experiences had also been different. Now I will proceed to the following prompt. Humans have natural tendencies in how we interpret the behaviors, intentions, and affiliations of other people. This is true of how we perceive other individuals and also how we perceive groups of people. What are examples of this? In your opinion, in what ways do these biases negatively impact society in the wrong direction? Support your argument with evidence, reason, and examples. So, according to Dr. Walter Glennon, the amygdala, the ventral striatum, the caudate nucleus, and the ventral tegmental area are some of the parts of the brain that are involved in the human perception of others. In most of the cases, humans attribute the actions of others directly to their personality or sometimes to the situational context behind the action. This has a negative impact on society since in most cases, humans attribute the actions of others strictly to their personality without knowing any situational context. Examples are when individuals judge someone who has a serious resting face as someone who is antisocial or temperamental, while in fact he could be an extrovert, friendly, generous, and likable human being. In fact, I have experienced some of these biases in my life, and I remember negatively judging three individuals in different times and places who are now three of my best friends. And I had negatively judged them when I first met them or when I first saw them. An example of one of these cases is a friend that when I first met him, he wears glasses, and when I first met him or saw him, I instantly thought of the stereotype that, oh, he must be a smart kid who is socially awkward. But no, in fact, he's not socially awkward at all, and he's very likable, and now he's one of my best friends. And there's another phenomena that arises through this, and it is known as in-group and out-group biases. So individuals have proven how they feel sentiments of love and friendship amongst people who are in their same group, but they also have proven to create sentiments of hate towards members of a different group, even if they don't even know these individuals. They will just hate them because they're part of a different group. And there is actually a terrifying example that unfortunately is very common in the sports world. And this was seen in a Colombian news article published in April 3rd of 2022, where being a fan of a certain soccer team cost a man his own life. So moving on, I will be addressing this third and final question. From a perceptual perspective, do humans experience the external world objectively? If not, can they? Support your response with evidence and examples. What impact does this have for other aspects of human psychology? Include at least two specific examples and support your argument with evidence, reason, and examples. So each person perceives the world differently since each person has been shaped differently. For example, every individual has different desires, feelings, emotions, tastes, preferences, habits, and even hobbies. These ultimately alter the way they perceive the world around them. In addition to this, different backgrounds and experiences felt by every different individual also affects how they perceive different stimuli. The information that people have access to and the information that people have consumed also leads to them having a subjective perception of the world. What I mean by this is individuals who have read different books, watched different movies or videos or pictures, individuals who have had certain different types of educations and careers, or people who have been instilled different values and ideas at a young age. This all has led them to have a subjective perception of the world. In continuation, there are some fun examples of how individuals can see the same thing but interpret it in a different way. So in this image, some people see a bird or a duck, while others see a rabbit. And there is this other picture where some individuals see a frog, while other individuals see a horse. In addition to these previous arguments, there is also a very strong one, and it is the following. According to psychiatrist Dr. Stephen Gans and psychologist Kendra Cherry, there are 8 steps inside the process of perception, and it is impossible for every individual to undergo these steps in the same way when perceiving a certain stimuli. These steps are the following. So first is the environmental stimuli. This refers to the world is full of stimuli that can attract the attention of individuals through their various senses. The environmental stimulus is everything in the environment that has the potential to be perceived. So this is how the process starts. Then we come to the attended stimulus, which is the stimulus that each individual has chosen to direct their attention to. Then we come to the image on the retina, which is a very complicated process where light passes through the cornea and the pupil onto the lens of the eye. Then the cornea helps focus the light as it enters the eye, and then the iris of the eye controls the size of the pupil, which determines how much light is actually going inside the eye. The cornea and the lens act together to project an image onto the retina. So if 2 individuals are watching and they focus their attention on the same stimuli, it's still impossible or almost impossible that they perceive it in the same way due to the light that is coming through their eyes. The 4th step is transduction. So this is the process where the image on the retina is then transformed into electrical signals that are then transmitted to the brain for being interpreted. 5th comes the neural processing, where these electrical signals then are interpreted by the brain, and the path followed by a particular signal actually depends on what type of signal it is. Since the humans have 5 senses, it could be auditory, visual, etc. Then we come to the awareness, where actually when the individual processes and perceives the stimuli, and they become actually conscious of the stimuli that they are perceiving. Then we come to the last 2 steps of the process of perceiving. 7th is recognition. So perception just doesn't involve becoming consciously aware of the stimuli. It also requires the brain to categorize and interpret what you are sensing. The ability to interpret and give meaning to the object is the recognition. And finally, we come to the action. This phase of perception involves some type of motor activity which occurs in response to the perceived stimuli. This might be a major action like running towards a person in distress that after you have not seen them in a long time and giving them a hug or something. Or something very subtle, just as blinking your eyes in response to a puff of dust that has been blown through the air. So based on all of the previously stated reasons, I believe that it is impossible for individuals to perceive the world objectively. And although this might make us unique and different in a good way, it can also create a negative impact. For example, perceiving the world in a different manner can create arguments and disagreement between 2 or more people, or also it can lead to previously mentioned phenomena like the in-group or the out-group biases. So this has been all. This is how I conclude the 3rd prompt, and I hope you really enjoyed my video. Thank you very much.